Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is your third video, of this playlist. And here we will try to learn about that how you will write your first method that you are going to publish. Okay, so we are going to learn about that. First of all, write the first method. We will try to learn about logger. We will try to learn about the uh, like. Uh, custom exception, that how you can write that. So all those things will be in this video. Okay, so just stay tuned till the end. Okay, you will learn a lot definitely. Okay, so see you all in the session. So welcome back again, guys. So let's start with the from where we left off, right? So I will again go to the same repositories. You have pypynb renderer. So we will create again certain files and folders, and I will explain that, okay, what we are going to do. So first of all, let me switch off my camera so that you have full screen to concentrate, right? So here we are. So what we can do is, let's again go back to the same repository. Okay, so I have pypynb renderer. So let's open this again in the VS Code. Yeah, so it's here. So now what we can do is, first of all, let's create also like one more file here, which is where we will do some sort of a manual testing. That means it's kind of we will be using simply a Jupyter notebook where we can practice. So let's call it as a research folder, and I will call it as a research, and then inside that we will call it as manual test, where we will just do the testing, basic testing. Call it as a pypynb folder. Okay, pypynb file, and that's all. So here we will do all the basic experiments that we need to do, right? Okay, so let it be like that. And now let's start creating certain files, right, into your source repository. So in the source repository, first of all, let's create into pypynb renderer. I will create certain files here. So see, either what you can do is you can define it like this, or you can even run the template.py again, so it will help you to do that. But let's go for the manual way. Okay, so first of all, like I need to build few functionality about about the rendering of a YouTube video. Okay, so youtube.py, I will create this file. And also, apart from this, I will also do one more thing now, set up a logger as well. So I will create a logger.py, which will help me to set up a logger. Okay, so this will log all the details that I am running on my files. Okay, and it is important, right? So that is why I follow this. And then we will also define one more file called as, which will have our custom exception. That means if I, since it's about URLs that we are dealing with here, so I will just write this function, this class, like this file, which will have our custom exception. Okay, so let's first of all set up the logger. Okay, so in the logger, again, we will import certain files, like import the OS, and then we will import the sys, then we will import the logging, and we will import the inspect if it is needed. Okay, I will tell you that why it is required if it is required. Otherwise we can drop this as of now. Okay, not needed as of now. Let's keep it the basic, very simple. Now we have defined the logging string which we are going to use. Okay, logging underscore string, and here I will just define it, that we are like what kind of information that I want to print. So I need percent ASCII time, then I need like level name. Okay, yes, then I need module. Okay, like percent to from which module we are like this coming up. So let me copy paste this message outside, because I need this outside. And here we will define the module, call it as module. Now this is about the logging string that we are going to use. Then I need to define the log directory where I want to store everything. So let's call it as a logs. Okay, and this should be from, either you can keep it in the default like root of the project, so we can say this way. Okay, and then we will define the log file path. So it will be again os.path.join, and then log directory, and then running logs. Running, let's call it as running logs file dot log. So this will be your log file path, and we can make the directory also like log directory. So I will just make directories. I will define I will call this log directory here, and then exist okay is equals to true. So this will actually simply, it will create a directory where I want to like store my logs. And then after that I will write logging dot basic config I will set, and where I will just define the basic configuration information level. Okay, I want to store, and then I have to define like format I don't. So format wise is equals to, that is again logging string that I have defined, right? So I will use that, and then after that I will just write the handlers. Okay, so handlers wise, that what I mean is that if I want to print into just, let's say if I want to print it on all the on a like on the terminal, so I can use a stream handler, otherwise I can use a file handler. So stream handler means that you want to put everything on the like on the terminal. So for that I need to import sys, so I will just use sys. So why I need is because sys dot whatever is the standard output, so it will simply print everything to the standard output std out. And just like that I will also use the file handler. You can disable this behavior. What you can do is simply drop this stream handler if you don't want, or if you don't want any of this, just remove it. Okay, and here for the file handler I need to say that log file path. Okay, there I want to log everything. Okay, so this will how it will kept. And then after that I will define a variable called as logger is equals to, I will call the get logger, and here we can specify the project name. Okay, so let's call it as project name is, it's ipynb renderer. Okay, so that's all. So this is how we can create this logs. Okay, and now after this we can import these logs also, like whenever it is needed. Okay, so from wherever in this custom exception anywhere it is, I will simply call these logs. Okay, so in custom exception we don't need it as of now, so we will simply first of all define an exception here. So call it as class, and then we will call it as invalid url, invalid url exception. That is, this is the custom exception that I want, and it will be importing an exception class. Okay, and then we will define the constructor where it will take the message as an input. Okay, and this message type will be of type string, and then is equals to, let's define the some default value of it. So I will define it as that url is not valid, so that is a default message that I will pass. So self dot message, and if I want to update it I will update it anytime, and I will import this super class, and I will initialize it as well, and I will pass this self dot message here as well. So this is how whenever I have to call this exception I will import it and I will call this exception. Okay, I will raise this exception. So that's all for of this, and let's go to the youtube.py, right? So in youtube.py we will now start calling these imports. I will custom exception and loggers, and then I will write this definitions of this files. Okay, so let's start here now. So first of all let's import few important libraries. Okay, and also let's go to zen mode. Okay, so that you guys can only focus on the code part. Yeah, so from ipython import display, because it's needed to be used in a Jupyter notebooks, and then from ensure import ensure annotation. Why I'm using ensure annotation is because I want to make sure that whatever input I pass, it has to be following a strict data type. Okay, so that is why, so that my system or my package should not break. And if you want to know more about it, so I will put a link about the video that I've already created on that. And then I will write here from ipy nb renderer, okay, dot custom exception. I will import the our invalid url exception, and also from ipynb this ipynb renderer dot logger, I will import the logger here, import the logger, so that we can use it. And then after that I will use a pyyoutube library to authenticate the url that I'm going to use. Okay, so pyyoutube, then import data, okay, from there, and then we will use it to for our work. So here let's start creating the first method that is we are going to use, called that's render a youtube video. It should accept url as an input, which is of type string, and then it will accept the width as an input, This is going to be integer and height as of also as an integer, and I will define it here the default value as 780, and also height is going to be default I'm going to use is 160. And then we will write certain things in try and except block. So let's call it as of now I will call it as pass here, and then I will just write except exception as e and then raise exception. Okay, so this is that's the basic that I have just done. And to make sure that we have this input, okay, and it should also return me as a string. Okay, so it should return me str, because I will return success if it is done, otherwise it will raise an exception. And I will here mention that I will just simply call that decorator ensure annotation. Now if you are not aware of decorators, again I will put the link for that so that you can understand what decorators are. But this decorator will make sure that okay, this things whatever is input and output will remain intact. If there is any change in data type, it will raise an error, right? So this is the basic method that I'm going to import whenever I will call this, right? This one. So there will be certain helper function which we will need in between. So I will define those as well. So now let's say if you want to render anything, okay, into your Jupyter notebook, so you need to have an embedded, okay, embedded iframe. Okay, so I want to like embed iframe into my into my Jupyter notebook, right? So for that, as you have seen in the demo initially, right? So in the same way, so what I have to do is I have to understand the basic understanding, right? So uh, I have to just check that okay, how it looks like the embed URL. Okay, so let's go to any of my, let's say, let me show you a YouTube video here. So let's go to my home page. So let's say if this is the last video of ensure. Okay, so what I will do is I will just share this. If I click on share, you will see there is an embed link, right? It's embed. So if you just see here, so I need this information. Okay, so this information you can see iframe width and height is a by default it is set, and then it is using URL and then dot embed, and then you will see there is an ID. This ID, you will see it's common for all the, like for this specific video, whether you are embedding it, whether you are sharing anyway. Okay, you are sharing a short URL, so this ID will always be there, and it is having title, frame border, and everything is there. So I will leave it as it is. And let's say if you start it at maybe at some other time, okay, let's say at 1 minute if I want to start, so you will see that it is changing to start equal to 60. Okay, question mark start equal to 60. So this is the observation that I want you to make. Okay, so let's copy this, right? Let's copy this information, and I will make use of it in my code part. Let's again go to Zen mode. So here, first of all, whenever you will get an idea like URL, so first of all, URL should not be none. Okay, if it is none, then you raise an exception, invalid exception, and you can pass a message also that URL cannot be none, and then you can start with an else condition, or you can just get the data first of all. So data is equals to data about that specific URL. Okay, so I will call this same pyproject data class, okay, which will take the URL as an input, and it will simply, if I just run the data method, this will return certain information about that specific URL, right? It will get the ID and like when it was created and all those information. Okay, so now what I will do, I will use this, okay, data method. In that I will just check for a publish date. Okay, this is one of the, it will return me a dictionary actually. So I will just look for the publish date. Okay, and if this is not none, then I will say that okay, we can proceed further, because if that is a wrong URL, so it will not give you that required things. Okay, and here I will get first of all the time at which the video is getting started. So I will say get time info. So I will create this function, and this is an helper function that I'm going to create. So this is get time information from the link that I have got, and this will take the it will again take the URL. So that means I will call this again URL. It is going to take, it's of type again string, and it will return me an integer. That means and that is the time that is we want to get from there. And yeah, so this will give me a time, and then a video ID. So this video id we need to create that embedded link. So I will just get the data, and again in the data same, if I just go for the id, like it has an id key as well. So from there I will get the id if it is a valid video url, and then I will create an embed url. Okay, embed url, which is equals to, and it will have like https youtube.com/embed. Okay, embed, and then it will have a video id here. So video id, and then it will, you need to check whether it is starting from somewhere, or if it is starting from some time, because sometimes people share that specific time is time at which you want to share. And then if I that after this I will have a logger.info. I can just mention here that yeah, we have got the embed url, and you can mention the embed underscore url. So this will create a, like this will log this information. Okay, and let's keep it as caps here. Yeah, so we have got the embed url, and then after that we need the iframe. Okay, so iframe is equals to, here we can again use f string, and we will use a multi-line comments. Okay, so let's start with, okay, it says iframe here, and let me keep it to starting from here. Okay, so we have, let's some like keep it into multi-line. Okay, width, and then we have source, then we have title. Okay, then we have frame border, all those information. Then we have allow accelerometer, like it's for the phones. Okay, that means if you make it landscape, it should do it automatically. Then we have clipboard right, and all those information that I will keep it as like in a multi-line, and then allow full screen, and then this is how. So as you can see, this is actually an embedded link which is having an id here, and then it is having a start time. So let's replace this with our embed url. Okay, so this will do the job, and rest of the things again you can see height. So height should be, and width and height should be replaced. So let's, with the default that we have, so width and height is going to be there, width and then height. Okay, so this have all the intact information, and if this is a success, so I will simply, as it's a success now because we are in this if block, so I will go for a display, and display has a display, again a display method, and this display method will now this display, again we will have a display.html. So it will just take this iframe as an input, and it will display onto your like into your Jupyter notebook, and I will return a success. Okay, so now as you can see that it will just simply, it will return a success if it is displayed properly, right? So now this is okay. So if there is an issue, so it will simply raise an exception. That is one thing. And now we need to write this get time info also. So at the rate, I will again make sure that okay, it is input and output is intact. So in this get time information, I need to also get that like I need to verify the ID, right? I need to first of all verify whether the ID is of the same string, that is of the string should be verify video ID length. Okay, so it will take the video ID length. It will take the video ID that you have extracted. Okay, and the expected one is going to be expected length is actually is equals to 11. Okay, that is how, like if you just count this one, right? So this video ID that I have just pasted that link, right? If you just check the any ID, so it will be about 11th length. Okay, so I'm calling it as an hidden feature or a hidden argument. And now what it will do is it will simply say that if length of video ID is equals to length of the video ID. Okay, video ID is equals to len of video ID. And if we say that if this length of the video ID is not equals to expected length, then we can simply say raise an invalid URL exception, and you can just mention the message here as that that invalid video ID with length. We can mention length of the video ID and the expected length. Okay, expected length should be, expected was this. So we can mention this as a message to the user that okay, if the this is not of the expected length. But before that, we need to also get that like what is my, we need to extract that, right? So for that, what I will do is I will split the URL first of all. So URL dot split, okay, and I will split it on equals to. So now let me do one thing. Let's go back again and just copy the like one of the URLs. Okay, so let's go back to our this, and if I copy from the top, okay, so I will just copy the like things that I need, right? So I will go back again to this, and to practice this, what we will do is let's do one thing. Let's go to our Jupyter notebook. Okay, so Control KZ. So let's go to a Jupyter notebook, and from where we can do this practice. Okay, so that I can give you exact location understanding. So URL1 type. Okay, so URL1 is equals to, this is of this type. Okay, in this one, if I want to extract this part, so what I have to do, I can simply say that URL1 dot split, and we will split it on equals to, right? So if I do this, so you will see that you will get these, like, so the last one is actually, this last one is actually what, it's your URL, right? So now this is one step, and then again let's go back to the same. If I do a share like this, okay, if I copy paste like this, and if I have URL of this type, URL2 is equals to this type. So in this one, it is having at last. So this URL should be it should be split at the this condition, and we can check the, now if I check, so you can see it is doing it 3 splits, 4, and so I should look for again the last one so that I can get the last output, that is this, right? That is again an ID. Now again there is, this is one. Okay, now again let's go back to the same video, and let's say if I do start at, okay, maybe let's say 5, or let's say 6, or 1 or 2. Okay, so you can see that it adds this, right? 20. Sometimes they do this way. Okay, and okay, let's start it with some 1. So if I now do this, so you can see and question mark and teeth, so it will like copy this. Okay, and again go back to this, and so this is of URL type 3, and this is going to have a link as this. So you can see if I now do this, so my URL 3 type should be, if I do again a split, so this should be, I should do a split on like again equals to. So if I do this, so you will see that it is having last is got split, but it is not having a split on that, like this is specific time. Okay, so it is giving me a time as well as both, right? So now what I will do is again I will simply write, say, let's say if I have to get the ID, right? So in this way, first of all, I can get the time. Okay, time I can get it with this. Now again, if I do a split of the first output, okay, let me leave it as it is. I will put it in the other line here. Okay, so now what I can do is here in this case, let's say if I go to the 0th condition, so it will give me this URL. Again, if I do a split here on I do it split on forward slash, so I will get this. Okay, now again you will see that it is not satisfying the condition. Okay, that is the last one is having ends t question mark t. So for that, what I will do, I will simply again I will check for the last first of all, that is this, and in that one, since it's not of the same length, so I will just simply keep it all till -2. So you will see that it is again the same thing, that is this, right? And again now let's go back again, let's start with the different again URL. So you will get one more URL, not of this type. So let's say if you have this, right, and if you share with someone, so like what they will do is like they will simply paste it here and they will simply run it. So once I do this, so you will see it is going to start with this, and now you can see on the top the URL has changed to this and t. Instead of question mark, it will have an and t option. So again, let's go back again to the code part. So if I have this URL of 4th type, URL4 is equals to this type of this URL. So now if I again do a URL4 dot split, if I do this on an equals to, so what you will get this. Okay, now in this case you are getting it at the this condition, right? you are having in this. So what I will do is I will first of all, let's check for the -2, right? So -1 will give you already 60 seconds. In that I just need 60 parts. So I will drop the last part. Okay, I will just keep it as like that. And then so you have gotten it, right? This one again. So again, if I want to remove the and t, so I will just simply write this till. Okay, so I have got in all these 4 cases we have these 4 kind of information could be shared to us. So I will make that okay, make sure that okay, I get all this information. Okay, so one more thing here that you can see here, there is no time. So in that case I will simply write equals to comma 0. That means it will start with 0 if I just need a time. If this is also, that means that this one also should start with 0. But here you can see if I want a time again, so I need to get both the information, right? I need to get, for the timing instance, I just need to get the last 60 and I will convert it into integer. And again here if you just see in this case it's done, but here if I talk about again, it's giving you 60 seconds, so I need to drop the s at the end, right? So let's now make sure that okay, we will incorporate this into our logic here when we will be mentioning this. So first thing that we will do is we will try to split it on equals to. Okay, and we will say that okay, in all of them, if you observe here, in all of them you will find out one thing, that they have watch is there, okay, here. And most of them you will see that watch is there, and some of them watch is not there. So let's look for that, target that condition. Let's say if watch in URL. Okay, if there is watch in URL, so what I will do, and also if I check that if, so there are 2 conditions, like if and t in URL, or if there is a shorter version of it also there, that is question mark t in URL. Okay, so for both these conditions we will merge them together. So if either of these cases are true, so what we will do is we will try to get the video ID and time. So like in either of the cases you can see, that is if it is this equals to is present and t both is present. Okay, and one more thing, like let's say if there is watch is present, so you can see in of this and t is not present, right? So watch is there but and t is not there, so that means that this condition is not going to be fulfilled here, right? I will keep it in else condition or elif condition. Okay, so if this is the case, so we will simply write we will get the video ID first of all, comma, and we will get the time is equals to, we will get the split value. So from the split value, what I will do in the split value, let's say and t conditions, right? And t conditions. So and t condition was here, right? So in that one, the second last, that is your -1 was what? So second last, that means -2. And I told you that since I don't want to read and remove this, I just want to remove the last one, that is minus this minus nt, and that's at the present at the end of the video ID. So I will remove that, and then I will convert the integer of the split value, that is the last part that I get, split val. Okay, split val, that is your last, that will give you the time instance. And in that time, if you can second, so you will see that seconds is always going to be there. So I will remove that part and I will convert this into an integer, and again I will verify this, okay, with id length. So whatever id length if I get, it should be of the size, or it should be of the length 11. Okay, if there is an issue, so it will simply raise an error. Then I will just log our info, I will just log this information that video start time is, or video start time, or video starts at, so we can say this time, okay, whatever time that I get. And then after this I will simply return this time. So that is the first case, okay, that I have talked about, that if it is watch is there and if it is this time is there, that is the first case. Then what is the next case, that if the and is not present. Okay, if and t is not present, or we can if and t is not present, that means if watch is present but and t is not present, that means if it is starting with 0. Okay, so in that case, so let's say you can get the video like output like this as well, right, without having any time instance. So in that case you will not get the last point, so that means it has to start with 0, obviously, right? So for that case again we will just define the same thing. I will copy paste the same thing, right, again. Now instead of here, since it's not having an anti, that means there is nothing is at the end. So that means it has to, this value will be 0 obviously. So I will leave it as 0. And since that is not there, so we will not have this much of splits. Okay, we will only have, because anti is not there, right? So it will have just last element will be our, it will just simply be our id, and then we can do the verification like that. Okay, now, so if the watch id, if it is not there, so we will have an else condition. That means if the watch is not in the url, so if watch is not in the url, so what we will do, we will also check for, that means youtube, if it is starting with question mark, right? That is a star, this part, right? So we need to check if there is a equals to is there, all right? Okay, so I will say that if equal to in the url, and apart from that, if there is a question mark, t is also there in url. Okay, so we can do what, we can simply again we will just go for a same steps like this, and here we will check again. So let's say if it is there, so I need to split again, we will use this split value, right, at equals to, that is as you can see here. And as I told you that the zeroth, that means in this case the first element I will take. Okay, and I will again split it with 0, and then again I will go to the last part and I will remove this, right, and that is anti part. So I can do what, I can again use the same things, split on equals to. So I will here, okay, so we have you can see this is, I want to split on equals to, which is already done here, right? So I can use the same split value. Okay, and I will retain the same condition. That means check the 0th url, again split it with this one, that is your the forward slash, and again look for the last element, that is your id, and then remove the anti at the end. So that is how we are going to get the video id. And so this will give us the video id, again verify that video id. And so again in this case, since anti is there, so we have the video id is already we have got. But if I have to get the last element, that is about this, so since it is this one is a short url, so it will not contain s at the end. Okay, so I will just simply directly, I will get the integer of the, and this is split value, that is first split that we have done, that is equals to, and I need to check at the last element, that is 1, or that is at the last element. So last element for the first split is going to be 60 second, right? So 60 I will keep it here in this example, and I will get, in this case I will get video id, time, and all. Okay, so this is a return of, then simply I will return the time. So in this way, this is one of the cases. Okay, and now there is one more case that will come, and that is where there is no equals to present. If there is no equals to present, so you will simply go for a split at, or we will simply get the video id. That is our the first simple case. Then if you are sharing a short url, so url dot split at the forward slash, get the last element, that is going to be simply your url, sorry, video id, and then again do the same verification of the video id and return the time. That's all. Okay, so this is going to be your like the first basic case. Okay, return time. And in either of these cases, let's say if there is an exception happens, so except exception, you can simply raise that invalid url exception. If you want to pass any message, so we can simply, we can mention that video id is not verified or anything, so it can catch any exception, and we will call it as an invalid url exception. So this was a very long method helper function that we have created, right? And this completes our first trial of this, like first like first time we are writing, right? So this completes that, and now let's verify this, right? So let's go to the manual part, and we will check for individual url, right? So url1 and url2. So I will simply write from ipynb renderer dot YouTube again. So see here, one more thing, that if you are directly, you can either write here dot and YouTube, or what you can do is in the source section in the ipynb, you can init section, what you can do is we can simply write from ipyrender dot YouTube, and we can simply import the render YouTube video. Okay, so we can simply directly call this here. So what this will help us is, like, from when I will write from ipynb renderer, I can simply directly import the render YouTube video. Okay, so now it's time for the check. Okay, it says that cannot import name render YouTube video. Okay, let's check this. Okay, I think what is the name of it, or render YouTube video, which is here. So it should be able to do it. I think maybe we haven't. Yeah, the reason could be that we need to verify that okay, it's in currently selected environment. I think it should work without any issue. YouTube renderer. Okay, let's rerun this. Okay, restart, and let's run all. Okay, yeah, that was an issue. So I need to run all again, and then let's go for a render YouTube video. Okay, so if it is working fine, so it should go for the URL one. It should work without any errors. Okay, so it's working absolutely fine. You can see that it is right now. It is very okay. I think default, I guess. Let's check again. Go back to this. So default settings, we have height is to okay, height we have to keep it to, let's keep it to 600 so that it will render well. Okay, now again rerun it. Okay, because I can again you need to restart because I have imported already. Again, let's run all. Okay, so for the first video is rendering properly, right? And it is also returning success. That means it worked well, whatever we have written. Okay, now again let's go back again. Let's go for the other URLs, URL1, URL2, and so on. So let's go for the URL number 2, and then we can similarly we can copy paste the others as well. URL 3 and then URL 4. Okay, so it should work for all the URLs. URL 2 working absolutely fine, starting at 0. Okay, then we have this starting at this is at starting at 60. Okay, URL 4. Okay, there was an error. That means it should have URL is not valid. Maybe some issue got raised. So invalid integer integer 10 base 10. Okay, so we need to check one more time. Okay, and t in URL we have, so this has failed. That means there was some issue here. So let's check the URL 4, how it was and what is the condition that we have written. So URL 4 was having and v. Okay, okay, and t was there, and it is starting at 60 seconds. So it is failing at line number 20. Let's go back to the line number 20. That means it should work here. So line number 20 for this use case, that is and t equal to 60 seconds. So I think maybe we have not -2. That is okay. So it should not be -2, it should be -1 here. Okay, because it should be at the last that was having our like it is having 60 seconds, right, which was at the last index, and I was just use the till -2 only. That means that is why it's thrown an error. Okay, so you can see that I think it should not pop any error for any of the issues. You can see for all of the use cases we have successfully rendered this YouTube video. So this was a success. Okay, but again, don't get happy too much here. So we will thoroughly check it by creating test in the next session. Okay, so in this way I will commit this till this part. Okay, that okay, we were able to create a simple method which will help us to log things, right? So what we will do is we will thoroughly test in the next session the same methods, that whether it is working absolutely fine or not. But for now, let's do one thing. Let's update our project board. Okay guys, so we have done this first. We have added one of our like projects. Okay, so we have already added. So let's go back to our project board, right? So let's see that. Okay, let's tick mark and then finish that issue. So we are here on our project board. Okay, so we were working on this, like creating a YouTube rendering functionality. So as you can see, we have created a logger. We have also created a custom exception. We have also dealt with, like, you have created a module as well, and we have done the manual check just in a Jupyter notebook just now finished. Okay, that means this issue is almost done, right? So like we can say that it's done from development perspective. Okay, development perspective, it is done right now till this part. Okay, so I will just comment this out. I will not finish it off until or unless I have done with the changes, right? So like we will do a last check once we are finished with the testing part, right? So we will leave it as it is as of now. We will leave it as it open, and then we will look for the, first of all, in the next session we will look for this point, that is about testing this YouTube functionality, right? So we will look into this, and then only I will close it once this is successful, right? So see you all in the next video, right? Thank you.